UNTV News and Rescue Command Center. This is Y News with Angelo Castro III, Gerry.
Good evening. The Manila Electric Company will implement power rate reduction this month of October. John Nano will tell us why.
The Manila Electric Company or Meralco will implement power rate reduction this October, wherein electricity costs will lower to 12 centavos per kilowatt hour. This means that if a customer is consuming 200 kilowatt hours in a month, there will be a 24 peso and 33 centavos reduction in their electricity bill. 36 pesos and 49 centavos for those who consume 300 kilowatt hours, 48 pesos and 65 centavos for every 400 kilowatt hour consumption, 60 pesos and 82 centavos for every 500 kilowatt hour usage. According to Meralco, power rate reduction is due to lower cost of transmission charge and generation charges that comes from cheaper charge from wholesale electricity spot market or WESM. This is the third consecutive month that Meralco implements power rate reduction.
Steadily, yung presyo ho ng kuryente ay bumababa itong nagdaang 4 na taon at kamakailan magkakasunod na buwan na 3 buwan na bumaba ang kuryente.
Although some Meralco customers are starting to use holiday season decorations, the electric company says there is no indication of an increase in electricity demand in the coming months.
Usually naman, pag second half of the year, pag nagsimula ng tag-ulan, tapos na yung summer, mas mababa typically yung paggamit ng kuryente. Na kahit na actually pagdating ng holiday season na tumadami yung paggamit ng mga ilaw, hindi pa rin ganun kataas ang demand for power.
Meralco cannot still identify yet if power rate reduction will continue in the coming months. Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasig City.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development Center for Senior Citizens will soon exceed its capacity. Grace Casin will tell us why.
Almost 300 abandoned elderly are currently being taken care of by DSWD's Golden Reception and Action Center for the Elderly and Other Special Cases, also known as GRACES. But the capacity of the center is only less than 200. And it doesn't help that the number of the abandoned elderly has been increasing year after year. Despite suffering neglect from their own flesh and blood, aging residents of GRACES are treated fondly by the center's house parents, as if they were the caregivers' own mothers and fathers.
Yung bed capacity niya masyado ng malagpas na sa ratio. We see to it na merong ibang NGOs tsaka yung LGUs na tumutulong din sa amin.
This week celebrates the Filipino elderly. Vice President Leni Robredo has promised to push for the enactment of the Elderly Abuse Bill that will bestow additional benefits and rights for senior citizens. The bill protects the elderly from psychological, emotional, financial, and physical abuses. Families who abandon or neglect their elders may face charges.
Maging ang mga nagpapabaya sa pag-aalaga sa kanilang mga lolo at lola, nanay at tatay, ay maaaring humarap din sa parusa.
Aside from the government's effort to increase elderly benefits under the Expanded Senior Citizens Act of 2010, DSWD calls on public to respect, prioritize, and love their parents and grandparents in honor of the sacrifices they made in raising their children.
Ang ating po mga kaluluhan tsaka kalulahan, dapat po yung pamilya po talaga yung una dapat na nag-aalaga sa kanila at hindi po yung mga centers natin for residential care facilities.
Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines is confident that the ongoing military exercise will further enhance their expertise necessary in times of disasters. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana underscores that the Philippine troops are learning more various humanitarian assistance and disaster readiness techniques from the joint military exercise with American forces. The joint training exercise provides the AFP personnel and counterparts with more capabilities to respond in times of calamities. Secretary Lorenzana says the concept of PHL-US was readily demonstrated by U.S. forces during the onslaught of Super Typhoon Yolanda in Leyte in November 8, 2013, where American aircraft, ships, and personnel promptly helped their Filipino counterparts until the situation was stabilized. The Philippine Marines also emphasizes the importance of the said exercise.
Part na rin ng interoperability training yun, yung ganung mga activities. Kasi we have some gaps, alam naman natin yun, we have some gaps on the capability natin.
U.S. 3rd Marine Expeditionary Brigade Head Brigadier General John Jason is confident that they will continue to build stronger partnership and capabilities together. As they train together over the coming weeks, they hope to remember the significance of their endeavor and the importance of this friendship to both nations. Looking forward to another successful PHL-US. Ray Pilayo, UNTV News and Rescue.
Despite receiving a very good rating for its first 3 months in office, Malacañang says this is not the time for the Duterte administration to be complacent. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
The Malacañang appreciates the result of the latest Social Weather Station or SWS survey, giving President Rodrigo Duterte a positive 64% or very good net satisfaction rating.
Apparently the perception of the people that he was doing his job.
But according to the Presidential Communications Office, the high rating is not enough to stop the administration from its campaign against illegal drugs and crime and its efforts to resolve poverty in the country. The survey reveals that of the 1,200 respondents, 76% say they are satisfied with the performance of the president, while 11% say they are not and 13% are undecided. The report on the achievements of the Duterte administration is to be released tomorrow. Based on the schedule by the PCO, a documentary on the president's first 100 days in office will also be aired tomorrow at 7 p.m. to 12 midnight. The PCO further says it is still being discussed if President Duterte will give a speech tomorrow for his 100th day as the president of the country. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacañang.
Former National Security Advisor Jose Almonte hopes President Rodrigo Duterte will make his colorful language colorless. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
If there is something former National Security Advisor Jose Almonte wants from President Rodrigo Duterte to change, it is his use of colorful language.
Well, if he can make his colorful statement colorless, that's a big change for me. Ano pang problema ni Presidente? Yun lang naman siguro eh. Ano pa, meron pa ba iba?
Almonte regards the president's use of colorful language as a destruction to his way of resolving the country's problems. The recent statements made by President Duterte garnered criticisms from various organizations. However, Almonte gives an exceptional rating to the first 100 days of President Duterte in office.
Based on what has been done for the next 100 days, exceptional. Look, in ordinary things, what he did is not really conventional.
The three major challenges that the country should resolve to attain development are the internal war, broken politics, and business monopoly. Almonte also stresses that the Philippines should maintain friendship with all nations. For the former National Security Advisor, this is the best foreign policy.
So, I repeat, to me, the best foreign policy is let's maintain our friendship with our old allies, but at the same time, let us work very hard to become friends of others, even if they are enemies of our allies.
Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacañang.
Foreign Affairs Secretary Perfecto Yasay issues a clarificatory statement on the recent pronouncements of President Rodrigo Duterte that the Philippines will stop its military exercises with the United States. Joyce Balancho will tell us why.
Ang America has allegedly failed the Philippines. That is why President Rodrigo Duterte is forced to realign the foreign policy of the country. According to Foreign Affairs Secretary Perfecto Yasay, this is what the president wanted to emphasize on his recent statements against America. Yasay further states that President Duterte would also like to withdraw the dependence of the Philippines to the United States and protect the country from security threats internally and externally that caused us to be subservient to them. However, Yasay says they are not disregarding the assistance bestowed to the Philippines by the America in the past.
I was explaining what the president said when he said before the recently that the United States has failed us, and I put the context under which he meant that statement.
He adds that under the Mutual Defense Treaty, the Mutual Defense Board and the Strategic Engagement Board can make a recommendation every year on whether or not to proceed with the joint exercises. It's high time, he says, that the Philippines re-evaluate the purpose of the military exercises with the United States, which commenced as early as 1950s.
The purpose of these joint exercises is to ensure that when we undertake it, it will beef up and enhance our self-reliance and our ability to address our internal and external security threats. Despite the joint exercises that were undertaken, our military capacity and our ability to be self-reliant in addressing our internal and external security threats have not been met. We are still grossly.
Joyce Balancio, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
Next in Y News. The National Capital Region Police Office disproves the existence of a death squad in its units.
Senator Antonio Trillanes IV is set to turn over witness Edgar Matabato to the Philippine National Police tomorrow.
And Senator Laila de Lima is determined to fight till the end until she proves her innocence in the believed drug controversies.
Y News will be right back. National Capital Region Police Office disproves the existence of a death squad unit. Lea Ilagan will tell us why.
Dito sa Metro Manila, I can say na walang utos sa atin to come up or to create yung team na parang yung sinasabi mo na death squad, wala.
Acting Director Oscar Albayalda asserts that there is no such unit in the National Capital Region Police Office that allegedly carries out extrajudicial killings in Metro Manila. This amid reports of increasing number of death cases under investigation which are attributed to extrajudicial killings. Based on record by the Philippine National Police, number of cases have reached over 2,000 from July 1 to October 4. Most of the victims were suspected criminals and individuals who had linked to illegal drug trade in different parts of the country.
Ang order sa atin is we put up a dedicated focus teams that will go after high-value targets on illegal drugs. These are the suppliers, yung mga big time.
Albayalda is also proud that the government's campaign against illegal drugs is proving to be successful owing to the PNP's efforts and desire to put an end to the problem. The general, however, assures that they are not ignoring incidents of EJK in the country.
Meron tayong check and balance dyan. Yung sinasabing nating check and balance, doon pumapasok yung ating investigation like yung ating Internal Affairs Service, even the CIDG, even the NBI.
Chief PNP Police Director General Ronald Bato de la Rosa had already said that the police were given a quota in stopping and arresting drug suspects, but killing them was not among his directives. Lea Ilagan, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
Senator Antonio Trillanes IV is going to turn over witness Edgar Matobato to the Philippine National Police tomorrow. Joyce Balancho will tell us why.
Basta't bukas, with or without the warrant, dadali na namin sa krame. In-inform ko na rin sila na we will be there 10 a.m. Sa Camp Krame.
To avoid possible allegations that he coddles a fugitive, Senator Antonio Trillanes IV will turn over self-confessed killer Edgar Matobato to the Philippine National Police Headquarters even without receiving the arrest warrant issued by Davao City Metropolitan Branch 3 yet. This after Matobato failed to appear in his scheduled arraignment last Monday for his illegal possession of firearms case. Though Matobato has already filed a motion for reconsideration which seeks to recall the warrant of arrest, Senator Trillanes says they just want to avoid any untoward incident. Trillanes asks consideration from the court as Matobato was not privy to the scheduled arraignment. The senator adds that circumstances during that time also prevented the witness from flying back to Davao City.
Monday, that it was announced na isususpend muna yung hearings. So aside from the fact na hindi alam personally ni Mr. Matobato, ako hindi ko alam na ako yung bibigay sa kanya ng custody. Ang problema namin was hindi talaga pwedeng maka-attend.
Since the case is bailable, Trillanes says they will post bail for Matobato immediately. In the meantime, the senator is confident that the Philippine National Police will give Matobato fair and just treatment.
We will entrust him sa pangangalaga ng leadership mismo ng Philippine National Police. Para sa atin, we will turn him over in good faith and I believe, pangangalagaan nila.
Though Senator Richard Gordon, who heads the committee inquiry on the alleged cases of extrajudicial killings, has announced that they will no longer need the additional testimony from Matobato. Senator Trillanes is ready to continue giving protective custody to Matobato in his own capacity. Joyce Balancho, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
The Department of Justice has gotten the upper hand today as it presented its witnesses in the hearing of the House Committee on Justice on the alleged drug trade inside the New Bilibid prison. Roderick Mendoza will tell us why.
A high-profile inmate and ex-policeman claims former Justice Secretary Laila de Lima personally received drug money from him. Appearing before the congressional inquiry, Ingelberto Durano says he delivered the money to JB Sebastian's office sometime in December 2014. The money, amounting to 1.5 million pesos, was placed in a shoebox wrapped as a gift upon orders of drug lord Jeffrey Diaz alias Jaguar.
Pagpasok ko sa opisina ng BTB3 ay nakita ko na naroon din si JB Sebastian at Hanstan. Inabot ko na kay Secretary de Lima ang kahon na may lamang 1.5 million. At sinabi ko, ma'am, ito na po. Kinuha ito ni Secretary at inabot sa lalaking sumalubong sa akin.
Another witness, de Lima's former aide, Jonel Sanchez, testified on the unusual intimacy between the then Justice Secretary and her driver, Ronnie Dayan.
Nakumpirma ko na may relasyon ang dalawa dahil si Ronnie Dayan ay sa bahay ni SOG natutulog. Maging sa mga out of towns na lakad namin, silang dalawa ay magkasama sa isang kwarto.
Sanchez adds he saw 2 private videos of de Lima on Dayan's phone but the House Committee decided not to show it. Sanchez also admitted he received money from Herbert Colanco's manager, Reynante Diaz, but it was for personal use and not for de Lima. Another inmate, Nonilo Arile, who the government claims as its asset, testified to the missing 300 million pesos supposedly taken from Bilibid after a raid in December 2014. However, he didn't mention if he personally saw the bulk of confiscated money, jewelries, and guns.
Bago na ilungsad ang Uplan Galugad, personal kong nakita ang haligang 65 milyon na nakalagay sa kahon ng sigarilyo sa kubo ni Sam Lichua. Pagkatapos ng Uplan Galugad, pumutok dito sa loob ng Bilibid. Nawala ang perang ito kasama ang iba pang mga alahas, baril at mamahaling mga bagay na umabot hanggang 300 million.
Roderick Mendoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
High-profile inmates JB Sebastian and Vicente C. may be able to attend the next hearing of the House Committee on Justice on the illegal drug trade inside the New Bilibid prison. Nel Maribohok will tell us why.
Department of Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre announces that JB Sebastian and another high-profile inmate may possibly be present in the next hearing on illegal drug trade in New Bilibid prisons. Sebastian fails to attend today's hearing because he's still under medication after sustaining injuries in the last riot incident at the Bilibid.
Perhaps we would be sure that JB Sebastian and another witness who was stabbed, Mr. Vicente C., would be around to testify.
Earlier in the testimony of Bilibid inmate Nonilo Andaya Arile, he said Sebastian is the one who gave drug money directly to De Lima and former Bucor Chief Franklin Bucayo.
Si JB ay kilalang untouchable at malakas dito sa Bilibid. Ito ay sa kadahilan ng regular siyang nagbibigay ng malaking halaga ng pera kina dating Secretary Leila De Lima ng Department of Justice at Director Bucayo ng Bureau of Corrections. Alam ko ang mga bagay na ito dahil personal itong naikwento sa akin ni JB sa kurso ng aming mga pag-uusap tuwing humihingi siya ng payo sa akin.
Former Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission Executive Director Reginald Villasanta and former Bucor Chief Bucayo were also present in the hearing. On his turn to give his testimonies, Bucayo refutes the allegations that he received drug money. On the other hand, the committee did not allow Villasanta to present his side because he has not submitted a written testimony yet, which he will present in the next hearing. The Committee on Justice resets the continuation of the hearing on Monday, October 10, instead of tomorrow. Nel Maribohok, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
There is no stopping Senator Leila De Lima until she proves her innocence despite the hard blows against her during the Bilibid drug probe. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
Senator Leila De Lima is determined to continue her fight towards clearing her name over the Bilibid illegal drug controversies, despite concerns from her loved ones and friends. During a dialogue on democracy and human rights today, Senator De Lima insists that she has never been involved in the illegal drug trade, especially at the new Bilibid prison. Though she confirms that Jonel Sanchez had been her security aide, she admits that she was hurt by some of his statements about her personal relationship with them.
He just mentioned about certain personal matters, which I find hurting because, you know, I treated all my security, past or present, well.
Senator De Lima further says that involving people who are part of her security group wouldn't help in the ongoing investigation. The senator also stands firm that the House probe on alleged illegal drug trade inside the NBP is just part of the efforts to destroy her person.
Naniniwala ako na hindi naman ang pinaka-agenda naman talaga ng inquiry na yan ay hindi dyan sa legislation, kundi demolition.
Meanwhile, De Lima denies that she knows drug convict Engelberto Durano, who was one of those who testified in the probe today.
I don't even know him. I don't know him. So that's again a total lie.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Motorists are experiencing moderate to heavy traffic on many major roads in Metro Manila. Aiko Miguel is at EDSA Quezon Avenue to tell us why, live. Yes, Aiko.
Good evening, Darlene. It's already past 8 in the evening. Traffic congestion is experienced by motorists and commuters in most of the major thoroughfares in Metro Manila. Now, for the latest traffic update, let's take a look first at the traffic situation along EDSA. Motorists and commuters experience light to moderate traffic in Balintawak, Kaingin Road, Muñoz, Bansalangin, in North Avenue, and in both lanes along Trinoma. Along southbound, traffic is heavy in Quezon Avenue and in Nia Road. Also in both lanes of Timog, Camuning, Monte de Piedad, and Aurora Boulevard, traffic congestion is experienced by our motorists. As of 5:25 this afternoon, along southbound of EDSA Ermin Garcia, a car and taxi was hit by a fallen lamppost. One lane was occupied, which caused heavy traffic in both lanes of New York Nepa Q-Mart. Moderate traffic is also experienced along northbound of MacArthur Farmers and P. Tuazon, while heavy traffic is also experienced in both lanes of Main Avenue, Santolan, and White Plains, Connecticut. As of 6:50 tonight, there was a vehicular accident along northbound of EDSA Guadalupe involving a car and taxi, and one lane was also occupied. From Reliance to Pioneer Boni, Guadalupe, Orense, Kalayaan Estrella, Buendia, Ayala Avenue, Arnaiz, Pasay Road, and Magallanes expect heavy traffic in both lanes. Meanwhile, you can see in your TV screens the live traffic situation. From EDSA Q-Mart going to Cubao, there is heavy traffic. And to Quezon Avenue, traffic is light to heavy. From Baclaran Rojas Boulevard to Manila, moderate to heavy traffic is experienced. And from Baclaran Rojas Boulevard to Coastal Road, traffic is light to moderate. From EDSA Guadalupe going to Shaw Boulevard, moderate to heavy traffic is experienced. And from EDSA Guadalupe, from Orense going to Ayala, expect light to heavy traffic. You can also see the live point of traffic from C4 Navotas going to Monumento. Traffic is also light. And from C4 Navotas going to Road 10, light traffic is experienced. And Darlene, motorists are reminded of the number coding scheme tomorrow, which includes all the vehicles and with plates ending in 9 and 0, and it will start at 7 in the morning up to 7 in the evening. That is the latest traffic update. Back to you, Darlene.
Thank you, Aiko. And that's Aiko Miguel reporting live from EDSA Quezon Avenue. Serbisyo Kasangbahay helps in facilitating the repatriation of an overseas Filipino worker from the United Arab Emirates. Joe Anano tells us why.
UNTV's Serbisyong Kasangbahay has helped OFW Janet Villanueva, an alleged victim of human trafficking, in coming back to the Philippines from the United Arab Emirates. Through Facebook, Janet coordinated with her friends until she found out about the program Serbisyong Kasangbahay. After learning Janet's situation, the program immediately coordinated with the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration or OWA to arrange the OFW's documents so she could go back to the Philippines. Janet gets emotional when narrating her experiences as a victim of human trafficking. It was February 2016 when Janet's acquaintance offered her a job as a helper in the Middle East. Janet accepted the offer because she wanted to earn more as their family's livelihood is selling fish. She easily trusted her acquaintance even without seeing any documents. It was only upon Janet's arrival in the UAE when she discovered that she had been a victim of human trafficking.
Patulong ako sa inyo, sabi ko sa kanya, ganun daw talaga. Kumbaga, lang na siyempre nakuha na nga nila ako Tapos nagtagal ako doon ng 3 weeks sa agency, bininta nila ako ng 16,000.
Upon her arrival in the country, Janet was welcomed by her children after 7 months of staying in the Middle East.
Nagpapasalamat po ako sa Serbisyong Kasangbahay at saka kay Kuya Daniel at sa mga staff ng UNTV na kung hindi po sa kanila at sa tulong ng mga staff at sa inyo po Kuya Daniel, hindi po ako nakakauwi ng ligtas at nagpapasalamat po ako ng sobra-sobra po sa inyo dahil hindi ko in-expect na kagaya ko na kumbaga buong puso nyo akong sinubaybayan at tinutulungan ng mga staff nyo po doon sa UAE. Maraming salamat po sa inyo.
Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
Coming up, Typhoon Chaba wreaks havoc in Busan and Jeju Island in South Korea, leaving extensive damage.
Health authorities in South Adelaide warned residents of a possible mosquito-borne disease outbreak as floodwater turned stagnant following a huge storm.
The United Nations Security Council members approved Portugal's former Prime Minister Antonio Guterres as its new chief.
More from Y News after this break. The tropical cyclone, Julian, exited the Philippine area of responsibility at 12 noon today. As of 4 p.m. today, Julian was located at 375 kilometers west of Basco, Batanes. The cyclone still intensifies the southwest monsoon that affects Luzon and Visayas. The Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration, or PAGASA, says Metro Manila, regions of Ilocos, Cordillera, Mimaropa, Bicol, Western Visayas, provinces of Zambales, Bataan, Cavite, Batangas, and Quezon will experience light to moderate. Partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers and thunderstorms will prevail over the rest of the country. Residents in southeastern United States brace for the powerful hurricane that left Haiti and other Caribbean countries in total devastation. Christy Rosacia will tell us why.
Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina coastal area residents evacuate as Hurricane Matthew approaches states in less than 24 hours. Local authorities in Florida urged residents, particularly in the coastal areas, to leave ahead of the coming hurricane, after some refused to evacuate. Some residents chose to stay in their homes so that they can secure their belongings.
No need to be afraid. Just prepare, get your stuff together, and leave today if you're in those areas. And look, if there's anybody out there that's concerned about an inconvenience of an evacuation, I would suggest deal with the inconvenience. We're talking about public safety here.
Traffic also has started to become heavy as many residents flee towards inland. But even residents in Orlando, a city inland of Florida, were seen panic buying in grocery stores, stocking up cases of waters and breads in preparation of the upcoming storm, leaving stores out of some basic stocks. In South Carolina, Governor Nikki Haley said evacuations in her state are continuing and state agencies are ready for any disaster.
Evacuations are continuing for Charleston and Beaufort County, and those seem to be going as normal. We have 32 shelters that are now open. 4 special needs facilities are now open.
The governors of Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina all declared states of emergency and deployed additional National Guards in anticipation of emergencies. Hurricane Matthew left 26 people dead and destroyed thousands of livestock, crops, and properties in the Caribbean, particularly in Haiti, as it twisted its way towards the United States. Matthew expected to hit Florida Thursday night, and President Barack Obama warned people on the storm path to get ready and take evacuation orders seriously. Christy Rosacia, UNTV News and Rescue, USA.
Typhoon Chaba wreaks havoc in Busan and Jeju Island in South Korea, leaving extensive damage. Eric Ferrer will tell us why.
Typhoon Chaba battered southern parts of South Korea yesterday with violent winds and heavy rains, leaving at least 5 people dead, 1 missing, and flooding the country's main port, industrial cities, and major factories. Video posted on social media websites show muddy floodwaters rushing down streets, carrying cars and debris. The storm ripped through the southern island of Jeju, where 26 flights were cancelled on Wednesday. Widespread power outages and damages to homes and building structures were reported in the island. The country's largest port in the city of Busan remained shut for the second day as Chaba rolled past just miles from the shore and headed east towards Japan. But a port authority official said it was reopened later in the day. Hyundai Motors' main factories in the city of Ulsan was temporarily suspended after it was partially flooded. Parts of the shipyards along the southern coast were also temporarily suspended. Likewise, airport authorities said more than 80 flights at the Gimhae Airport serving Busan were cancelled as of midday on Wednesday. Meanwhile, the KTX bullet train service from the south was also suspended temporarily, partly due to power supply was interrupted. Chaba has weakened into a tropical storm as it heads to Japan, according to the Tropical Storm Risk Tracker Service. Eric Ferrer, UNTV News and Rescue, South Korea.
Members of the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC, are set to convene in Istanbul prior to the formal meeting in November. Ramil Ramal will tell us why.
OPEC and non-OPEC oil producers plan an informal meeting in Istanbul on October 8 to 13 to discuss how to implement a production deal that the OPEC members reached in Algiers last month. The deal aims to cut oil output for up to a year. Oil prices rose about 7% in September, ending up a second straight month after OPEC unveiled plans in Algiers to reduce output to between 32.5 million and 33 million barrels per day. Meanwhile, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro expects non-OPEC oil-producing countries like Russia will support OPEC's efforts to boost oil prices by reducing crude output.
Este acuerdo debe consolidarse en los próximos días y además estoy muy optimista en que los grandes países productores, no OPEP, como nuestra hermana Federación de Rusia, también se sumen a este esfuerzo mancomunado entre los países OPEC y no OPEP.
OPEC member Venezuela, which gets nearly all of its foreign exchange from oil exports, is facing triple-digit inflation and chronic product shortages as a result of low oil prices and decaying state-led economy. Maduro says his government is the victim of an economic war led by opposition businessmen with the support of Washington. Details of the deal are still being worked out among producers, especially on how much each country will produce, and is set to be decided at the next formal OPEC meeting in November. Ramil Ramal, UNTV News and Rescue, Middle East.
Portugal's former Prime Minister Antonio Guterres receives formal approval as the next chief of the United Nations. Sonny Cos will tell us why.
Former Portuguese Prime Minister Antonio Guterres received the unanimous support of the UN Security Council on Wednesday to become the next UN Secretary General.
Today, after our sixth straw poll, we have a clear favorite, and his name is Antonio Guterres.
With representatives of the 15 council members standing behind him outside council chambers, Churkin said a formal vote would take place at 10 on Thursday local time and expressed the council's hope that it could be done by acclamation.
Tomorrow morning, acclamation vote, and wish Mr. Guterres well in discharging his duties as the Secretary General of the United Nations for the next 5 years.
Gutierrez, who was Prime Minister of Portugal from 1995 to 2002 and served as United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees from June 2005 to December 2015, also won the first 5 rounds of secret ballots by the Security Council. During his term, the volume of activities undertaken by the UNHCR tripled following the introduction of the needs-based budgeting approach to address the increase of the number of people displaced by conflict and persecution from 38 million in 2005 to over 60 million in 2015. Following the formal approval on Thursday, the 15-nation Security Council's decision will be sent to the 193-member General Assembly for final formal approval.
The new Secretary General is poised to succeed UN Chief Ban Ki-moon on January 1, 2017. He's set to become the 9th UN chief since the organization was founded in 1946. Sonicos, UNTV News and Rescue, New York.
Health authorities in South Adelaide warned residents of mosquito-borne disease outbreaks following a huge storm last week. Nina Bascon will tell us why.
Experts warn pooled flood waters are providing increased breeding opportunities for mosquitoes in South Australia. Health authorities have warned residents of potential increase in the number of mosquitoes as flood waters turn stagnant in South Australia. Authorities say warm weather would combine with high water volumes left by flooding over the past week and thus create perfect conditions for breeding. Health doctors in South Australia notice a lot of water pools around. They say some of the debris can collect water and provide spots for mosquitoes that breed in containers. Following the concerns, residents begin to clean up the surroundings.
Ang concern nila ay yung flooded na area, which is na magkakaroon ng maraming lamok. Yung government health system ay gumagawa naman ng mga hakbang na in such a way, kung darami man ang mga lamok dito sa buong suburb ng Metropolitan Adelaide, ay make sure na hindi iyon darami dahil may mga precaution na sila at mga prevention system na sila.
Local councils will start meeting with SA Health Unit today in bid to clear up potential trouble spots. Of particular concern is the northern Adelaide Plains, where flood waters over the weekend devastated horticultural crops and have since turned rancid. Health authorities say the increase in temperature might give the mosquitoes a chance to multiply. Thus, they advise residents to pay attention to possible mosquito breeding sites. Nina Bascon, UNTV News and Rescue, Melbourne, Australia.
The Pan-American Health Organization, which serves as the World Health Organization's regional office, confirms that the Americas has become the first region in the world to be free of measles. The milestone has been confirmed after no cases of the highly contagious disease were recorded in the Americas in at least 3 years following a 22-year vaccination drive. The last outbreak of measles that originated in the region occurred in Venezuela in 2002. Senator Risa Hontiveros files a mental health bill today. Hontiveros says she is worried about the data gathered by the Philippine Statistics Authority revealing that 1 out of 5 adult Filipinos has a mental or psychiatric disorder. The proposed bill aims to establish psychiatric and neurologic services in regional, provincial, and other tertiary level hospitals across the country. It also aims to give non-medical alternatives and to add mental health education in school curriculum.
It's time to tell all Filipinos with mental health needs that they are not alone, that they should not suffer silently in the dark. It's time to tell them that seeking treatment is a sign of strength rather than weakness.
Teams USA and Cuba train ahead of a friendly game. Meanwhile, FIFA Vice President Victor Montagliani says an increase in the number of World Cup teams is likely in 2026. Aaron Romero tells us why.
FIFA Vice President Victor Montagliani says that an increase in the size of the World Cup is likely for the 2026 competition. Montagliani backed FIFA President Gianni Infantino's proposal that the tournament expand to 48 countries in 2026, with an initial knockout stage and then a 32-team group stage.
Hey, should we expand? I think the answer is probably yes. And now is what's the format and all that. But I think before a final decision is made, I am sure that we'll do a cost-benefit analysis and then land somewhere in terms of what it will look like for 2026.
Montagliani also announced that the Miami-based Confederation of North, Central American and Caribbean Association Football, or CONCACAF, could change its name to create a new brand image and distance itself from a toxic past. Meanwhile, Team USA's head coach Jurgen Klinsmann has called up 23 players for a remarkable historic friendly set for Havana tomorrow, Friday, in spite of Hurricane Matthew.
Well, we're very excited to make this trip to Cuba because it's going to be a wonderful experience for all of us. Hopefully, also for the people there to have that opportunity to see our team play in their spot, and so we are really excited. Hopefully, Hurricane Matthew is not kind of playing difficult games with us.
The match that is set to take place at Estadio Pedro Marrero is the first in Cuba since 1947. In 2008, the U.S. national team had actually played against the Cubans in the World Cup qualifying held in Havana. The Americans won that match 1-0. Aaron Romero, UNTV News and Rescue, New York.
Drone racers gear up ahead of the World Drone Racing Championship. Sandy Cause will tell us why.
Some call it pod racing, others call it the real-life video game. Drone racing has been another hit to watch out for since drone has been evolving and drone pilots are enthusiastic in showcasing what they and their aerial vehicles can do.
And I think it speaks to the fact that drone racing isn't just one thing. I do think drone racing can be considered an evolution of esports. It has similar dynamics to the way people play esports, but it's broken through the screen and it's in the real world.
From October 17 to 22, 2016, drone pilots around the world will gather to compete at the 2016 World Drone Racing Championships set in Kualoa Ranch, Hawaii. In New York, around 150 pilots competed at the U.S. National Drone Championships in August ahead of the global event. Founder and CEO of Drone Racing League, or DRL, Nick Horbacheski, is hyped and gearing up ahead of the international competition.
October is going to be a really exciting time for DRL. Drones are evolving very rapidly, and obviously here at the Drone Racing League, we're very focused on high-performance racing drones. But I think similar to what you've seen in auto racing, the technological innovation.
With the recently completed round of financing, which is over $12 billion, including various media and technology partners, Horbacheski also hopes for a wider range of drone racing audience. According to Nielsen, only 223,000 people watched live or within 7 days, the U.S. Drone Racing Nationals was broadcast on television. Sonica's UNTV News and Rescue, New York.
Recycled toilets mixed with clamshells are dumped into the waters of Jamaica Bay in New York. Naomi Baking tells us why.
Efforts have been made to bring back oysters to the waters of Jamaica Bay, which is located on the southern side of Long Island, New York. This is made possible by dumping recycled toilets mixed with clam shells. John McLaughlin of the city's Department of Environmental Protection shares that the department installed a so-called donor reef nearby with 50,000 adult oysters whose offsprings hopefully will latch onto the nursery reef. And building the nursery out of discarded toilet was an eco-friendly choice.
There are some papers that indicate that crushed porcelain is very similar to its qualities in attracting oyster larvae as clamshell and oyster shells. So instead of placing this material into a landfill, we decided to put it to a good use, and it's a resource here.
Oysters are a key component of a healthy marine ecosystem. An adult oyster can filter up to 50 gallons of water a day. However, studies say 85% of oyster reefs have been lost around the world.
Oyster reefs provide a lot of the same services that coral reefs do. They filter the water, they provide food and habitat for other animals, they stabilize the bottom, they increase water clarity, and they can stabilize the shoreline.
Once everything is installed, water quality will be monitored to test the reef's filtering capacities. On the other hand, the department stresses that the oysters are not for human consumption. Naomi Baking, UNTV News and Rescue, Melbourne, Australia.
Those are the reasons behind the news, October 6, 2016. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Reasons we delivered to you as they unfold. I'm Gerry Alcantara.
And I'm Darlene Basingan, because we need to know.
We will always ask why. Thank you for watching. Why News.